Mr. Well, thanks for always being here for us. We are so grateful. Thanks for having you too. So please, we'll let you take the floor now. Thank you.
Again to everybody. It's a pleasure having us back a section today now. It's not going to be an intense one, but I think it's one that will be packed with questions and answers so that I bet most part of our questions will be answered. But what we'll be looking at today is we are going to be looking at resume and cover letter for most especially for Canada job application, be it the LMIA, be it the GHP program, be it the Rural Northern Immigration Program. Mention it. So we are going to look at how to make resume, and we'll look at the different routes, then question and answers. Although what was expected or what was agreed was I was supposed to give 10 free persons resume. I was supposed to send a Canada standard resume for 10 free persons, but that was actually nullified, and it was now said that we should all get to learn how to make it ourselves, right? Then if after the practical section on how to make resumes and cover for visas. Then we can now Canada job routes. Then we can now go further. We can now go further to we can now go further to see by giving us some template demos. By giving us some template demos with which we can now work with, right? So first, one thing that should register in our minds are the Canada or CVs are not similar to the way we make our own CVs in Africa. I remember several years ago, after I was done with my program, so I needed to look for a job just like every other person. So I made CV. So we don't that kind of CVs won't work. That kind of CVs won't work. So what works is what kind of CV standard or resume standard is expected of you when applying for a job. So those are some of the things we are going to be looking at today. So first, to getting started, one thing you should note is when you are making a Canada resume, the Canada resume is a gateway. Your resume is a gateway to being selected or being rejected for a job application. Well, I get to say that again. The resume or the CV you are submitting is actually what will either make for your selection or your rejection. Whether you get an interview or you will not be called for an interview, or you will not get a response on the email, or your email will be read. Your CV is everything. Your resume is everything. So first and foremost now, failures when it comes to job search begins with your resume. If you get it all wrong with the resume, you are sure gonna get it all wrong with getting a job. If you don't get your resume correctly or you don't get your resume right, there are chances you will not be given a job. So let's get some of the things to know about the Canada resume. One is no, the employer does not go through your resume or your CV. Always note this. Okay, now I'm applying for a job. I submit the job. The employer is not going to go over your resume or your CV by himself. You know why? Because there are more than 50 persons, more than 100 persons on that same job, on that same position, on that same role you are actually making application for. So now 1,000 CVs or resumes to start checking. He's going to wear himself out, and in most cases, is going to be tired. So, one thing to note is for your resume to be selected, the employer is going to use what is known as ATS. If your resume cannot pass through ATS, then your resume, you will not even be contacted for interview in the first place. And what do we mean by ATS? ATS is applicant tracking systems. Applicant tracking systems. So if your resume cannot pass through ATS, forget about it. You will never be contacted. Because I could remember some persons say, I've actually applied, I've tried, I've been applying for Canadian job for more than 6 months. I've not even gotten a response email. Nobody has actually contacted me. I've not, it's this thing does not work. It's not, the truth is it works, right? So it's simply because your resume or your CV could not pass through ATS. So now the concern now is not making the resume, though we are going to learn how to make the resume or the CV. But the major concern is even to make a resume, even to make a CV, how do I make my CV? How do I tailor my CV in such a way that my CV will pass through ATS? So I think ATS is the problem here. Because if ATS is what will decide your fate or determine if you'll be contacted for an interview or if you'll be asked to come for the job or if you'll be asked to resume, then it simply means that we should channel all of our study today or a bit part of our time on this ATS. Because if you don't master how the ATS system works, there are chances that if you get to do 101 CVs or resumes, you will not be contacted. Since these things are not humans induced, they are not human being induced. It's not as if the employer is going to pick your CV from his or her mail, or from the HR is going to pick your email and your CV or resume and start going through. All they need to do is once you send your CV, easy peasy, they send your CV straight to ATS. And if ATS cannot ascertain you, if your CV can pass through ATS, that ends it. You will never be contacted. Nobody's going to even send you a reply mail. So in that case now, you'll still be trapped in the box. So let's go to talk about ATS in a bit. So I did say ATS simply means applicant tracking system. So it's a software. So if I'm to look for a job or if I want to help someone to get a job, it simply means first, I'm going to have access to the ATS software. Because before I send a particular resume to an employer, I'll first pass that resume or that CV on the ATS software. So if the ATS software validates and approves it, so that will give me the confidence that if the employer also gets to pass my CV or pass the resume on the ATS software, I'll still pass through. In that case, I got pretty high chances to be contacted. So ATS, it's what all of the job and energy comes from. So the ATS, like I said, is a software that helps employers manage their recruitment process by automating the collection, sorting, and analyzing of resumes. Now, let me tell you 1,001 reasons why most people don't get jobs. It's because of the ATS. Because the ATS is automated. It's a software. It's kind of an AI bot. It's you can't influence it. You can't actually bypass it. So the employer doesn't have the luxury of time to start checking 1,001 CVs or resumes. All he does, or they do, or the HR does is collect your CV, pass it on the ATS software. And if your CV can pass through, you will not get a call. Nobody's going to give you a reply mail. And that ends that application. And you don't find persons saying, I've been applying for a job for the last 6 months. No reply, not even one. Remember, the clause for me has always been, for every rejection, it is not your village people. I don't understand. Africa has so much cosmic past. There are so much voodoos when it comes to mysticism and the practices of that past. Africa can be said or likened to be the seat of all of these things, the seat headquarter. But now, when we talk about technological approaches, there are no witchcraft or wizardry to these things. It is computer, it is programmed. So now, if they collect your CV, God can do all things. I know. I'm not against the fact that I can pray ATS to accept my CV. Great, God can do it. I trust God on that. But it's not worthy of note that we should be praying for things that God has given us power to get. So that's just my own clause. So now, if your CV or resume can pass through ATS, no calls. If you don't get call, how will you get the job? So what the ATS does is it collects it collects CVs or resumes, sort out those CVs. Let me talk about the sorting. Now, never forget this thing about saying you need a fresh resume for every role you are applying. You do need a fresh resume for every role you are applying. If I'm applying for a forklift driver job, I need a resume that will be tailored for forklifts. Now, if I need a resume, if I'm applying for a janitorial service job, I need a resume for janitorial services that will capture all of the roles for janitor of a janitor. So if you use your forklift or your truck driver resume and you're trying to apply for a retail salesperson or a bed maker or as an hotelier or as a receptionist, ATS, you will not even be selected because at the time ATS is doing the sorting, your table will not pass. Your resume will not even go past that. And even if your resume meets the requirement, there's still the third phase of analysis. So now the ATS is going to analyze your CV or your resume to see if you are qualified for the job. So you now get to see that resume is everything, CV is everything, ATS is everything. So if you know you can pass through ATS, can be approved by ATS, Eureka, you are 60% close to getting a job. Now, remember those things are automated, so nobody is going to inflate it or influence it. So what's the role of ATS to job seekers is very crucial. The role of ATS.
Okay.
Because ATS to decide your fate. So let's just look at some of the roles of the ATS. Why do employers use ATS? One is to collect resumes. So now, ATS gathers all the resumes submitted through online job postings, email applications, or career sites. Do you see that now? So if I'm applying for XYZ company, I've submitted my resume. Don't forget, when there's a job opening for foreign or international job opening, these jobs are not just relegated to Africa. Asia have the highest number of immigrants. When you talk about the highest number of immigrants in the world, Indians top the charts. Indians are number one. So when it comes to this thing, so Africans, we don't even migrate as it seems. Asians have the highest number of people migrating. How about the China? The Chinese are also on the top part of this chart. So when there's a job opening, Asia is applying, Africa continent are applying, and Europe also, some European nations are not so viable, right? Like some part of the Scandinavians are also applying, some part of the Caribbean are applying, some places even in UK. So what validates your chances is ATS, because the employer doesn't have the luxury of time to start checking your CV, all the CVs that will be collected. So all you need to do is they pass everything through the ATS, select the rest. Now, when ATS will now go further to sort and filter applications. How does ATS do this? ATS does this using, it scans for keywords, it scans for qualifications, and other criteria up by the employer in shortlisting the candidate. That's why for every job, the employer spells that I need X, Y, Z. These are the things I need I need the applicant to have. For a conventional job in Africa, they'll say 5 years working experience, and you should be tech savvy, you should know Microsoft, and some of those things. The same also applies to the West here. So in the West also now, the employer is still looking out for certain criteria. So reach out when a job is advertised or when there's a job opening for is a field, and that need is the abilities that the employee will be coming to fill in that organization. So that's why your resume must carry all of this information. So the ATS will sort and filter, and when it's filtering, it's through keywords to certain qualities as touching number of the requirement for a particular candidate to be shortlisted. Now, if your CV or resume passes through the filtering stage, you got a better chances. Now, what the ATS will now do is it will now schedule an interview. So it manage the hiring process. ATS also manage the hiring process. It's so interesting to know these things. So it will now schedule interview, communicate with candidates, and go further to store the applicant's data. Okay, great. So how does the ATS work? I just explained. So ATS goes for keyword matching. It does parsing. So what is parsing? The parsing there is ATS will extract information such as your contact details, your work experience, your education, your skill from the resume. So if you are poor formatting, that is the more reason why the standard resume for Canada jobs. So if you actually don't have a standardized resume, your resume is poorly formatted, there's no how you will get past through the parsing process. Now, I said the ATS does ranking and filtering. So what do I mean by ranking and filtering? Now, after the ATS is done doing parsing, now it will now rank all of the resumes from 1 to 100. And how it goes about that now is by placing certain scores on each resume. So for resumes or CVs that don't get to pass that score threshold, they will never be contacted. And that's my reason why sometimes back, I know someone, he once told me, I don't know how true it is, he said he has applied up to 1,000 times. And in those 1,000 times he applied, he never got a replied mail. Can you get to see that now? So what is the case? What is the reason? The reason is not that he's not making application. The reason office, give them your resume, and they begin to check your qualifications and all of that doesn't apply in the West. ATS does all of these things. So if your resume cannot get a particular score threshold, you will never be contacted. And you now quit and give up. So these are just some of the challenges. Now, the last thing the ATS does is going to store and organize your information. Now, when I mean by store and organize this, it's going to susceptible applicants who are most qualified for the jobs will now be stored on the recruiter's database so that when time reaches for the recruiter to write a mail or give you a call or invite you for an interview. So now, viable tips. What are some of the tips? What are some of the things you must do? In as much as you have an amazing CV, your resume is superb, but if in all of these things, your resume cannot go past the ATS standard, you lose chances. Remember, no human making your. So, what are some of the tips to always take home when getting a resume that will pass the ATS standard? Yeah. One, use starting is when you are making your resume, stick to a very simple and clean formatting. And what do I mean by this? Do not use tables on your resume. Do not use text boxes. Do not add your your photo. It's when we are making CVs in Africa, you sometimes Passing is spelled P-A-R-S-I-N-G. Your CV, your data will not be able to be collated. So don't use tables. Don't use text boxes. Don't add your picture. It's never necessary. And don't use some sophisticated graphics, because all of those things can interfere with passing process. The next is when making a CV, that's why I did say earlier, you need a CV for every job you are applying. You need to make a forklift, I need a resume. If I'm applying for truck driver, I need a resume for that. If I'm applying for a live-in caregiver, I need a resume for that. If I'm applying for anything, you need resume for that thing. Why? So that you can tailor your resume to meet the standard of the job description by including relevant keywords. And those things are not rocket science. You don't have to go Google anything. The keywords or the relevant keywords are usually found in the job posting itself. So all the keywords you need for that particular job application will be contained in the job. Pick the job description from there. Pick the relevant keywords from the job posting itself and get yourself a nice and amazing CV. Now, the next is file type. File type. Now, ATS will not be able to access a PDF. No, it's so amazing. I'll send my CV, I'll send a PDF. I want to make a resume, I'll send a PDF resume. Most times, ATS can't scan through a PDF file. Now, there's the reason. The reason is, fine, after making my CV on my, let's say, Microsoft Word, for instance, remember, you need some sort of software to start converting to PDF. And some of the softwares have what is known as hinderers. They have some code hinderers that might prevent some of these bots from reading or going through your resume. So when you want to submit your resume, what do? Submit it in the following file type, either .doc, .doc, .docs, if you are using .docs or just .txt, which is plain text. It's usually and most advisable you leave it in this format. The next is consistent formatting. It's very important. Consistent formatting. Now use standard font types. I'll give us two. Now, when you want to make your CV, some people use some calligraphic font. The CV is just looking so amazing as if it was designed by an artist. ATS will not be able to read that. So when you are making, use font types like Arial or Times New Roman. There are thousands. You can even download several fonts if you want to. So when you are doing this, use Arial or Times New Roman. Font size should be between 11 to 12 points. Use bullet points when you want to make lists. And do not use ATS, I said, I've not been designed to understand some complex fonts. So use Arial or Times New Roman fonts. Your font size should be between 11 and 12 font size points. If you must make a list, use bullet points. And avoid unusual fonts like calligraphy, elliptical, vertical. Avoid them. Use simple fonts. The next now is detailed section. You must have a well-labeled section. Have a title for each section on your resume. For instance, when it's time to state your work experience, have that caption work experience. When it's time to state your educational qualifications and attainment, have start heading like education. When it's time to talk about yourself, by your data. When it's time to tell us about your skills, put skills at the top. Standard headings that will be easily recognized by ATS. Now, the beauty of this is you don't need so much grammatical syntaxes. You don't need so much syntax and semantics to actually get these things working. Very simple, and keep it was simple. Remember, I said no fancy formatting, avoid columns, avoid. So now I did get to say now, do not use complex. Now, when it comes to acronyms, ensure to spell out, say the abbreviations for every acronyms. For instance, you're an accountant from Nigeria. Don't just state ICANN. What is ICANN? Put the acronym. You are trying to say you have knowledge around SEO. Don't just put SEO. What is SEO? Put the full meaning of that acronym, e.g. search engine optimization. So these are the basic tips to remember so that we actually go past the ATS. Now, let's go over to the resume, see how to make a standard Canada resume. So if I want to make a standard Canada resume, what do I need to do? How do I go about it? What are certain informations I must not play with? The first is, before you actually get to start making a resume, your resume should have header. Your resume must have what? Header. These are the sequences. Whether we give you an edited template, whether you're going to do 1,000, even as a matter of fact, making resume alone, making resume alone, we charge as high as $200 to make. So now I said the first thing to know, this is the resume format now. And I said this thing we are learning now is even a job on its own. You can add it to some part of your services and charge people to make resume or CV for them. The first is your resume must have Ngozi Abubakar Olawole, state it, let it be there. The next thing is put all of your contact information. Yeah, some of us have phone numbers, we have email. And when making email, let me get to give us a tip. The email you use for jobs should not be stuff like lindaforjesus@gmail.com. You know, it's so amazing. Africans, we are religious people. We love God so much. Or stuff like Ngozi baby, Ngozi for Jesus. It's so crazy. It's so amazing to see Africans do all of these things, right? If you want to make a CV, the email to use, for instance, if my name is Abubakar Samuel, this is how I'll create an email. I can create an email such as abubakar.samuel@gmail.com or at yahoo.com or at rocketmail.com or at yandexmail.com or at hotmail.com. Do you see that now? Let's make sure that the email you are using have your full name, have your first name, your second name, so your surname, your other names. Don't use special names like, okay, no, it's common for most persons when they want to create emails, they do stuff like, okay, they'll do stuff like Samuel 1999. You don't need all of that. Ensure, go create a new email. You want a job, go make new emails and let the emails have your name. If that email has been used before, try to see how you can do stuff like Samuel.Silas. Maybe you got your name to be Samuel Silas or something. Let the new email you are creating carry your full name. And don't put numbers, don't put things related to religion, don't put things related to your belief or something. And secondly, also now, if you got a LinkedIn profile, add it. Some persons here, it's so amazing to know that there are some persons who are looking for a job, but you're not. Hilarious. It's so sad to see we do all of these things. So if you are in this section now, you truly want to get a foreign job, get yourself a LinkedIn profile, set up one. You don't have social media account, try to create one. Then lastly, add your address. And when you're adding your address, you have your street name, should have your city, should have your state, as well as your zip or postal code, as the case may be. That is the first thing that should be on your resume. The first is a header. And I did say that in that header, what will be there is your full name and your contact information below it. So you have stuff like your phone number, your email. If you've got a LinkedIn profile, add it and add your permanent address or your mailing address. The next section after the header is your professional summary. What do I mean by professional summary? It's a brief summary highlighting your skills, your experiences, and your career goals. Now, when you want to write about your professional summary, ensure that the summary is tailored to the job you are applying for. Actually, applying for, let's say, a truck driver job, and in all of your skills, there's no driving, and you want to drive truck. And this is the West, where the lives of citizens are to every extent highly valued. So now I need a truck driver job, and in my CV, there is no driving. You have not even taken courses on undergone courses of like driving trainings. You have not taken courses on roadworthiness. You have not taken courses that have to understand traffic rules and regulations. You have not taken any of those courses. We can't even find any of those things in your CV. It's so sad to know that you might not get a job. So professional summary, give us a brief summary of your skills, your experiences, and your career goals. And remember, I said this should be tailored to the job you are applying for. Now, after you're done with the professional summary, next is work experience. Now, let me say this. List your work experience in reverse chronological order. What do I mean by reverse chronological order? Now, in 2010, let's assume you graduated in 2009 after the Nigerian Youth Service Corps, using the Nigerian setting as a case study. In 2010, you taught at Auntie Gladys Primary School. That was 2010. Then in 2012, you were a marketer with UBA Bank. You left the bank in 2015. Then in 2015, you became maybe a traveling assistant in XYZ traveling agency. So now, if I'm to state all of this experience, start from the current job experience to the last. You know, ideally what we do is we'll put 2010 XYZ teacher. Do you get that now? Start from the current job now, the current year, or the most recent job should come first. And when you are writing your work experience, don't fail to include the job title. When you were working in XYZ school, what was your role? Put the job title, the company name, the location, and date of employment. So that if need be, you have been asked, okay, can we get your employment contract for so-so XYZ anti-school you taught? You have all of that. And use bullet points to describe your responsibilities and achievements. When you were working as a teacher, what were your responsibilities? And during the time you were working as a teacher, did you get to have any form of achievements? State them. Now, the next section is education. The same applies to education. List educational background in reverse chronological order. So now, if the most recent qualification you have was last month, state it, then take it down that way. Don't start from nursery school to 1995, primary school 2003. No, start from your most recent education attainment. Include your degrees, the name of your institution, location, and date of attendance. Now, when you're done with that now, move over to skills. Yeah, I like both technical and soft skills. What are your soft skills? Okay, Microsoft, I have knowledge in Microsoft Excel. I have knowledge in web development. I have soft skills, state them. Your hard skills, your technical skills, put them there. The next is certification and training. So in certification and training, list any additional certification or training that are relevant to the job. For instance, a few persons were saying, I want to do live-in caregiver job so that I can actually get a PR on arrival when I get to Canada. But you have not taken any course on live-in caregiver in the recent years or in the recent past. So how would they even get to be sure that you are good for the job? So that's more reason why, when it comes to certifications and training, list any certification or training that you have done in retrospect to that is relevant to the job, in retrospect to the job you are applying for, and that will be most relevant to that job. The next is volunteer experience. If you have actually volunteered in the past, or you have worked as with an NGO or volunteered for anything, state. So languages that you have proficiency at, if you have more than one languages you can speak so fluently. And when I say languages here, there should be major languages in the world. For instance, I can speak Hausa. Hausa is also one of the most populous languages in the world. I'll state it. I can speak English, but I can't put my language because my language from my mother tongue is not widely spoken in the world. So I'm not going to include that. Now, the last is references. Note, do not state your references. Do not write all the names of your references. Kindly say references available upon requests. References available upon request. That is just what to say. Now, upon requests, I will send my references. So in a bit, this is just all that actually applies to the Canada resume or CV. You get that now. So that is all that applies. So let me just give a take-home bonus. How do I get, because now the next big question, if I was to be an attendee, is how do I get this ATS software? Now I will get to call their names. Take note if need be, because that will not be included in the PDF at any time. So I'll call a few names of some ATS softwares so that when you are done making your resume or CV, you can pass these things through those softwares to actually ascertain if your resume is fit or necessary, or if it's going to be accepted. One of them is Workday. Workday is a comprehensive cloud-based software. Go and search for it. It's your duty to find this out. The next is Greenhouse. Greenhouse softwares. We have Lever, spelled L-E-V-E-R. Sign up on this ATS softwares and check your resume. We have JobVite. JobVite is spelled J-O-B-V-I-T-E. We have ICIMS. It's an example of an ATS software. ICIMS. So you can go and check them out. Even we also have Taleo, spelled C-A-L-E-O. We have Bamboo HR. You can, any of those ones are possible softwares you can use to check your CVs before submission. And we have Smart Recruiters. We have Jazz HR. We have Bulon. There are so many. These are just a few I will give. There are just a few I'll be giving. So at this point now, the edited copy of the resume will be sent. On the part of the resume, I've been able to stretch and stress it. And I just want to believe that when it comes to understanding the use of ATS softwares, the use of it, and how to get your resume ready, that has actually been discussed. So the best I'll do at this point, which I don't consider it to be necessary, since we are going to be getting some editable, so I'll send a Word document copy of some resumes. So with the knowledge gain, you can now go ahead and actually make one, or use that when you are making your own. So that to some extent will work. So, but I don't know if it will be necessary for me to just show us one so that you can just have an idea. But the steps are constant. Some of the things never to include, just like I said, don't include your photo or picture as it seems with recent resumes. Use black and white or true. Don't get to start using some some advanced kind of colors. So don't use some kind of coloring and or keep the font simple. I also stated the size and all. The size and all to use. And that should actually serve as a guide. So now I just made one resume for the purpose of this class. And it's not well tailored, but just to give you an overview of what it looks like. This is just an overview. Right. Okay, just a rough sketch. Let me share my screen. We want to assume that I'll be using John Doe, for instance. I just want to use that so that we can actually get to see a bit what I stated or said. And let me know if you can see can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see it
so
now.
I just made a great. So tomorrow we are going to get few copies of proven resumes that's actually earned certain persons the jobs they are doing currently here in the West. But this now is just for the people, just to emphasize or to reiterate what I've said in pictures. Because I've said them, if I don't get to show pictures, we might not understand. Remember, the first thing I said is header. And in header, your full name should be there. Can you see this? Very simple, John Doe. We are using him as our case study. Remember, I said add all of your contact information like your phone number, your email, your LinkedIn profile if you have, and add your address. And I said your address should include your street name, your city, as well as your state, and possibly add words, your postal code or zip code. The next after the header that has to do with your name and contact address is professional summary. Can you see this now? So look at the professional summary I made for this fellow. Experienced truck driver with over 10 years of experience in long haul and local driving. Proven track record of safe and timely deliveries. Skilled in vehicle maintenance and adhering to transportation regulations. Committed to ensuring the highest levels of customer satisfactions. Now, after professional summary, what's the next thing I said we should look at? Work experience. And I say use bullet point. Can you see truck driver, APC Transport? Where was that? Anytown in Canada, January 2015 to present. Safely, okay, what are the rules when he was driving? Remember I said do it in reverse chronological order. Safely operated and maintained fleet of trucks. I stated my rules. I just stated the rough rules of this person in this place. For long haul deliveries across Canada and in the US. Work experience, truck driver. Because I'm applying for truck driver, I stated the role was truck driver. What are my roles when I was working? The reverse chronological order. Can you see from January 2015 to present? So you start from your most recent job experiences. Now, what are the roles I played in ABC Transport? I stated them. Now, the next role, truck driver, XYZ Logistics, Anytown, Canada, June 2010 to December 2014. Can you see that? I stated all my roles, the roles I played with XYZ. Now, after that is my education. So what is my education? High school diploma, Anytown High School, Anytown, Canada, graduated in June 2008. This is just a rough sketch to give an overview of what your resume should be looking like when it comes to the standard Canada resume and one that we pass through any of the ATS softwares I just gave before now. The next is certifications and training. So you can see now commercial driver license. So I have a class A commercial driver license. I've taken courses on, I have certificate in defensive driving course, first aid and CPR certified. What are my skills? Long haul and local driving, vehicle maintenance and navigation, safety and regulatory compliance, excellent communications and customer service, time management and punctuality. Very easy. Add your references. References will be given on request. You don't need to add so many things. Do love colorings. The font I use here is New Times Roman. You can see my font size is 12 font size points. I did not get to use numbers. I only use bullet points for listing. When it comes for me listing things, I use bullet points. So without saying further on this, I just want to believe when it comes to Canada Resume Standard, I want to believe that we are all empowered and we have now been well equipped to actually go out there and make wonders and get professionally designed standard CVs that will earn us jobs and also to our clients. So let's just go there and start doing wonders. So the next on our list is a white label. Now, different routes for travel will be discussed in the more advanced class. And if you still feel you need more knowledge on that, go back to the previous videos. Classes and sections I've had on that, where you have ample, at least not less than over an hour fully sectional thoughts on how the different routes to migrate to Canada and how to explore them. So I'll talk about the white label because I'll be leaving this class in the next 24 minutes. So I'll talk about the white label and then just give a few people to ask questions. Now, talking about the Trustify white label, it's actually an amazing software that actually empowers you to sell flight tickets and hotels in your business name. And you get to do that seamlessly with just your CAC incorporation. So you don't need a whole lot of some certifications from IATA. You don't need to be a member of NANTA. You don't have to be holding an NCA license. The reason why all of this is made simple is because we are holding a global IATA license. So we have done the heavy lifting for you. You just come in with your CAC registration. And when I say CAC registration, for those in Nigeria, CAC in anything. It could be CAC for a bakery. It could be CAC for a confectionery. It could be CAC for pastries. It could be CAC for jewelries. CAC for anything. So as long as you have a CAC for any business you have registered, be it business name, limited liability company, and NGO, you get to stand a chance to get a white label. And you sell tickets at your own rate, adding your own markup, and you sell to customers or clients and also to other traveling agents who can also come take partnership with you and sell as your agent. And you issue your ticket globally. And you get to sell in virtually most languages in the world, and you can sell in any currency in the world. So you can take payment from any of the 6 continents where human beings are found. Tickets will be issued to and will be used to fly in any part of the world for both SOTO and SOTI. Those who are into the traveling or ticketing space will have idea of what I'm saying. So you get to do all these things seamlessly with just a CSA registration. And prior to this time, the cost is still 500 United States dollar. But I could remember at some section, when we had a section, I beat it down. It's either 500 United States dollar or 500,000 Nigerian naira. But few months back, we needed to give our 4 set of students some discount, and the software was sold for 150K. But I think today now, for those who want to come on board, sorry to say this, the cost of the software will be going back to, okay, your group admin will communicate that to you people. Let me not get to just say the price so that we don't get scared. But it's sure going to be something that will be most affordable and something that all of us will be able to afford so that you can actually come into the traveling space and get to sell your own flight ticket as well as hotel reservations. Give out free IATA license. For some of us who don't have IATA, when you come on board on the white label, after your 10th booking, you're entitled to get a free IATA TIDS, which is almost equivalent to getting all of that for free. So I don't know what you are waiting for. For those who have signed up, congratulations to you. And I do know a few people who signed up have direct access. They can reach out to us anytime, any day. So that makes it an amazing journey. So for those who have not signed up, I don't know what you are waiting for. The new cost of the white label will be discussed in our various groups. So those who are interested and wants to join almost immediately can come in and get started. So that is all the much I'll say about the white label. If you still need more information, you can reach out to your different group admins and you'll be given adequate and appropriate information on that. So now, this time now, we just have 20 minutes before I sign off. You got a question, your time has come. Now, if you got a question, this is your season. So you can ask questions and get answers now. So let me know those who have questions so as to be given
I have a
opportunity
question.
The
to
first person on the
ask your
list here
question.
is Mary Precious.
So,
Please don't unmute your mic, please.
okay, great.
Mary Precious, please ask your question.
Just heard was actually this white label, and then I was actually asking if this CAC you just mentioned is still important for those planning on going through the caregiver route.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, Mary. I think you did join us so late. Now, you don't need CAC for caregiver route. The essence of the CAC for those who want to sign up for the Transfer White Label. And there's still a clause. If you don't have CAC at the time, we still run similar services. Reach out to your various group admin. You can still get on board on the White Label while you are waiting for your CAC. But you don't need CAC to get caregiver job. I don't know if that answers your question. And our advice at the end of the section, you go over the class or the section again so that you can actually participate fully from the time you were not present. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
Thank you. The next person is
So the next is
Queen Daniel.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Please, can you hear me very well? Hello?
Sure, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Thank you
can.
so much for thank you so much for this session. Quite informative. Okay, my first question is on the first class you took. You talked about the company registration in the US. You mentioned it, and I'm interested in that. How do I get that? What benefit will I get? And also, secondly, you talked about the South African e-visa yesterday. My daughter recently got back from South Africa. She went for a program, but we couldn't pay. Our host had to pay for her over there. So I'm asking, what card do they accept? That's the two questions I have.
Okay, now, sorry, Queen Daniel. Can you I didn't get to hear the first question. Can you just please?
Okay, the first one is
the
the EIN, the company registration in the US. So I'm interested in that because I have a couple of things to do in the US. Yeah, so I'm interested. I want to register my company, and also, what do I stand to get to benefit too? Thank you.
Okay, though, for registration in the US, it's possible. It's one thing everybody who is here should do. Now, the following are the benefits. She's going to, if you come on board, you get employer's identification number. So what that simply means now that you can employ international or foreign workers to work with you in the US. You're going to get a US bank account. You get a US business address. And to that regard, also, you can apply for a US B1 visa. For those who want to come to the US on a business visa, this is your quick catch. And lastly, also now, with this, you can get your US ITIN, which is equivalent to the US SSN. And with that, you can open accounts in the US, get payment gateways here also in the US. And it should be amazing to know that we also got here using the US incorporation. So Queen Daniel, you can reach out to your group admin. Your group admin will guide you and you'll get started almost immediately. Thanks so much. Now, the second question, please.
Okay, the second question was I was asking
thanks.
about the card. What payment do South Africa accept?
Okay, in South Africa, the payment that works for them is rand and dollars, right? So now there is a payment gateway that can take payment from any country in the world, and that is Stripe. So if you have a Stripe account, you can take payment from any of the continents in the world. And for you to get a Stripe account, the only thing you need is just a US incorporation. Once you have a US incorporation, you'll be able to take payment from any part of the world, be it the Ghana cedis, be it the Oman Riyal, be it the Kuwait dinar, name it, the Qatar Riyal, name it. You'll be able to take payment from any part of the world, down to Indian rupee. You'll take payment from all over the world. So now, if you intend to sell to the South African market, we have rand on the Transfer White Label. So all you need is, you actually need a Stripe account, and that will enable the South African to pay in its local currency while the funds gets to your own US bank And from your US bank, you can actually withdraw to either a local bank or spend the funds using your card. Thank you. Okay, now I think we'll be moving to the third person. We have 4 more minutes to go. I think the third person here is Temitope Akerele.
Okay, hi, good evening. Yeah. My question is, can you hear me, please?
Sure, I can.
Hello? Okay, yeah. Yeah, my question is about the resume and the CV. Is the CV different from a resume? And also, what is the cover letter? What is it about? Because I didn't hear you say anything about the cover
Okay, now
letter.
CV is also known as resume. Okay, now CV
Okay.
is also resume. Now, cover letter is your application letter. I don't know if that is understood. Now, after you're
Oh,
done making a resume, just like the conventional African setting, you submit your CV
yeah.
and you will now write an application letter to apply. So your cover letter is the application letter. Sorry, that was
Oh,
also not discussed. Apologies to that.
all right. Okay, thank you
So I
very much.
think
So
that
is it after
answers
I
our
submit my
question. So let's
CV?
go on to the fourth person. We see.
Okay.
Yeah, the fourth person is in Kolika Fondo. So in Kolika Fondo, if you're there, can you just get to ask your question?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Wells, for all the information, for the wealth of knowledge. I'm grateful. I just want to ask, please, as a
Most
lawyer, can you hear me, please?
sure I can.
Please, I just want to know, as a lawyer, what's the fastest pathway do you think I can use for Australia to get a PR? I mean, I'm sorry, for Canada for a PR.
Okay, talking about Canada, being a lawyer now, the fastest is either GHP or LMIA. So that is the fastest for you. But the most fastest route for you is the GHP and not the LMIA, right? So now the next big question is what is LMIA and what is GHP? So now we'll talk about LMIA. LMIA is Labor Market Impact Assessment. So it's actually a program that is set up by the Canadian government to allow people who are employers who are LMIA certified to get foreign or international workers. So that is the LMIA. So, but if you need further guidance or information on that, reach out to your group admin. They'll sure get back to me. Then you'll be guided adequately.
Okay, thank you so much. I
The
also have a lot of
GHP,
questions.
which is
How
a
can
growth
I want to.
IPA program. Yeah. Okay, great. Now, so you just reach out to the group admin. You'll be guided further on that. Thank you. So let's take the fifth
How can
person, and I think that will be all.
Sorry, please. How can I assess you? I just need to get some further
Okay, now just
advice from you, please.
I believe someone shared you the link, right? So just reach out.
You talked about health insurance yesterday. Then you said the health insurance must cover your stay during the application. But if you want to stay more than 3 days, that 3 days that maybe you applied for, can it still cover your stay? That's my question.
Okay, now thanks so much. Now I did say 2 things, that to lower the cost or the amount of your POF, don't use longer stays. Am I right now? So if I intend to stay for
Yes.
6 months, for instance, I'm the only one who knows I'm staying for 6 months. The government, the immigration personnel don't know I'm going to stay for 6 months because they can't read my mind. And there are no such softwares that will be able to tell how long I will stay. What do I do? To lower the cost of my POF, I can say 3 days, or let's say 7 days. Now, I'll still get a travel insurance for 7 days or at best 1 month. Now, the essence of the traveling insurance, though it's not a good idea, but to lower your POF, you do same. Even if you stay for 5 months, say 7 days, so that you don't have to expend so much on cost of living and daily standard cost of living, as well as accommodation and other excesses to spending. So now, if I say 7 days, I'll get a 1 month traveling insurance. Now, the only disadvantage to this decision is, God forbid, if I'm going to stay for 1 month or 3 months, and I just got 1 month insurance because I told them in the application that I'm staying for 7 days. If a bad omen should happen to me, I'll bear the loss or bear the consequence. But still not being on the side of any loss. If the travel insurance expires, you can still buy again. It's buyable. So if I did for 1 month, now I'm staying for more than 1 month, I'm going to buy a new traveling insurance that will cover my stay while staying there. So I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah, so it's an easy peasy approach. If your travel insurance expires, get more, keep staying more, keep buying more, right? So as to lower proof of fund. So I think I've actually expended my time, but let me just get to take one more question.
Okay, sir. Please, can you you can't take more than 3 or just 3? Izang, Sonny, and Taufik.
Okay, let me do that for
Sorry, please,
the
I type a question
sake.
on the chat.
Just
Maybe
those
you can
3.
answer that as well.
Yes, I've seen
Okay,
your
just
question,
say
sir. That's
question.
why.
Okay. Okay, what's
So
the
if
question,
Izang, Sam.
All right.
Izang, Sam.
Good evening, sir.
Okay. Okay, you're
Thank
welcome.
you
Thanks
for
so
the
much.
Yes, sir.
You're most welcome.
I appreciate what you are doing, but my question is, I am interested in the study abroad route. So I don't know. I want to know how to like email maybe like professors, how to search for school, for scholarship, how to write a CV for school, not for job. So I don't know how to go about it. Then the second question here is for a student who wants to study in Canada, what kind of account is it advisable for that student to like open it or operate it? Thank you.
Okay, let me answer your question in reverse chronology. First, if you are trying to study in Canada, what's account? Yesterday, we talked about proof of funds, and it was established that your bank statement is not the only source of proof of funds, right? There are more than 5 instruments that are generally or globally accepted as proof of funds. But when you want to come in as a student, you can use a personal account, right? A personal account will still work. And personal account, what do I mean? Your own account. You have a saving account or you have a current account. And it should be an actively running account, an active running account. An account you do transaction on daily basis or weekly basis, as the case may be. So it should not be a sort of a dormant account just for storing money to travel to Canada. That will not work. And just like I stated yesterday, when we're looking at proof of funds with zero deposit, establish the fact that you can still get sponsored bank accounts. In most cases, you don't have to pay. In some cases, you have to pay. And I did say the last time that we also do sponsored bank account. So we can actually get to give you a bank account that will cover for your studies as per the required amount that is needed to exceed your study cost. Then a sponsored letter will be issued in that regard, keeping everything low and also trying to also keep you at balance. Now, for your first question, try professors to mail, institute to mail. I can't actually get to give you emails of professors as it seems, but I can only give you a list of some schools you can apply to. And for scholarship programs, you can explore options like FASA. You can explore scholarship from some NGOs organization, and even most schools you are trying to apply to also give grants. So you can actually look at those options. But to cap it all up, I would advise you reach out to your group admin, let them just get to leave, give them the question on that. Then I will help you with some PDF materials on a list of some schools you can actually apply and some scholarship opportunities you can go in for. So I don't know if this answers your question so that we can move to the next person.
All right, sir. The question, the network was poor. I did not get you.
Now, Mr. Isaac, I'm about screaming in Yoruba, egg by me. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say.
I think, please, sir, I think because of your time, let the next person ask the question. I'm going to post this recording so that you can all listen to that.
All right.
Okay,
noted,
great.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Thanks so much.
Then the next person is Taufik Ogunsanwo.
Good evening, sir. So my question is about short courses in Canada. So I caught someone in Canada today. He said the short courses that people cannot bring state dependent to Canada as of today. Like maybe we do 6 month course or maybe 1 year, all those courses. So I want to know how to.
Okay, yeah, thanks so much, Mr. Tofik. Now, he is partially correct.
Question, sir.
There are some institutions that will not allow you to come with relatives. Yeah, I got that now. I said he's partially correct because there are some institutions that will allow you to come and there are some that will not allow you to come. For instance, the candidate we looked at, Wales, if you're applying through them, they will allow you to come with your spouse. But this is the ideal thing, just to keep yourself on a low. You come first, get an exchange program. Once you have an exchange program, you can bring your family. But there are still a few institutions or colleges that will still allow you to come with your spouse. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Is it institution sake or the country sake? Is it decision is made by the institution or the Canada?
Okay, now this is how it works now. Now, the decision of the IRCC as touching giving you visa is dependent on your documents. Now, when it comes to a short course program, what you get most to every extent is LOE, which is your letter of acceptance. But people like Khan College give you other supporting documents that can still allow you to come with relatives. That's why I said, but so far I actually know about 6 short courses, varsities that will do this. But a larger percentage of them only give you LOA with no supporting letters like ECN. So because you don't have ECN, you can come with your relatives. But if the institution can give ECN, why not you can come with your relative? So IRCC is dependent on the application. IRCC decision is not static, neither is a decision biased. They decide using the information you supplied or the document provided. So that is just the right answer to your question. So I don't know if this answers your question.
I will do further investigation, sir.
Okay, thanks so much. Thank you. Yeah, you're most welcome. So the last person, but not the least. So let's take that while we cap up.
Sonny Idang. Is it Idabu?
Idabu, thank you. Yes. Yeah, good evening from here. Thank you so much.
And the last, that's the last person.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, all right. Welcome.
Thank you. All right. Sorry, I'd like to ask these 2 questions. Number 1, can you please highlight the different traveling routes that you mentioned? Though I wasn't in those meetings, and I tend to play the recorded version, but I don't know if you can just highlight them, maybe just kind of highlight. Then secondly, I'm interested in that white label, but at the moment I have someone who really have a registered CAC company that's handed over for me to manage. I don't know if such one can be allowed. It's not my own that.
Okay, yeah, to your second question, yes, it's possible you can use another person's CAC since you have access and you can manage it. Yeah, it's possible. Now, to the traveling route to Canada, basically traveling routes are of 2 types, temporary residents and permanent residents. So when we're talking about temporary residents, we're talking about visits, which encompasses studies, business visits, or maybe coming for a conference. And we have study too. So study is also a temporary resident route. So here we have stuff like coming to study, either a long-term program or a short course. And we have the work route as well, either a seasonal job or a permanent job. And when we're talking about the permanent route, is where we are looking at other options like immigrating to Canada on different or several other work routes. And several other applications routes that actually promote or get to give the permanent resident. And at the time, there are more than 10. But usually, it's always advisable when you are coming for such, it's better you get to do the temporary resident, use the temporary resident options at the time. The reason is because permanent resident route takes years, but temporary resident route takes fewer weeks. So the temporary resident route are advised. So while you come into Canada, you can now start working towards getting your PR. And if you come in via with the live-in caregiver offer or job, you are entitled to getting a permanent resident upon arrival as per the new policy covering that. So I don't know if this answers your question.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Please,
thanks so much.
please, can I ask?
Thank you very
Can I
much,
ask
sir.
one last question, please?
Thank you.
One last question, Mr. Well.
Okay, please do.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much. The caregiver job, please. Can one change the
Okay.
job when one gets in?
Sure, you can. Usually, the life validity of the job is even 2 years. So if you can successfully serve as a live-in caregiver for the next 2 years, first, the joy is you now have your permanent residence. If you can quit jobs, you can change job, you can switch jobs, but your permanent residence cannot be changed. Once a citizen, always a citizen, unless if you engage in activities that
Sorry.
brings about the withdrawal of such.
Okay, but still complete the duration of the employer's
You mustn't. If circumstances warrant,
engagement.
okay, for
Okay.
instance, let me give a practical instance. You got a job as a living caregiver for an aged person who at the time is 75, and the contract was supposed to be 2 years, and the woman died at 76. So you still have 1 year to go. So now that the
Yes.
person you are caring for is no more, will they now transfer it to go take care of another person? No, you won't get to do that.
Absolutely.
Or maybe in the course of
Sure.
your services, you
Thank
had
you so
issues
much.
with your employer. You can leave jobs to another jobs. Trust me, if you get a better job, move in. The reason why the Canadian government brought PR on arrival is because the live-in caregiver jobs were never applied for. People were not coming as live-in caregiver. So the PR was just a bait or an incentive to increase the rate at which people apply for live-in caregiver jobs. So if you have it, you can switch jobs anytime, any day. Thanks so much once again, ladies and gentlemen. And at this time,
Please, how long?
I
Just
think
give
How
us
long?
the company that can give us proof of fund for zero deposit. Please, I'll be asking the question since the company that can
okay,
give
on
us
the
that,
chat.
please.
The truth is, only us can give that. We are the only ones who can do that I know, because the larger percentage of most people around, we actually ask you to pay $200 to $150. But it's by far one of the cheapest and most accessible way to get proof of funds without accumulating or growing money in your bank. But notwithstanding, avail me some time to check through with the Nigerian branch to see if there are other names that can be added. And to a place of promise, I will share with you privately, just you, so that nobody will get that before you.
Okay, thank you. What's the name of your own group that can do it for someone, please? The name of your group that can do it.
Trapsify Global
The name of
Inclusive
your own company
Limited.
that can do it.
Trapsify Global Inclusive Limited.
Trapsify
Global Inclusive Limited.
Global
Inclusive Limited. Okay, let me just get to leave that on the charts.
Thank you. Please, how long does the caregiver job application process take?
Hello, Mr. West. Hello. Hello, please.
Joe, if you should allow me to go. Dan line us on the field. If you should allow me to go.
This is my only question. This is my only question. I'm not asked. I dropped it on the chat. So
all right. Thank you so much, Mr. Well. Thanks for your time.
Okay, let's take this last question. Then
please.
That will be
Mr. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for consideration. Please, I want to ask for study visa. How do we calculate proof of funds for study visa?
Okay, study visas are fixed. For instance, Canada tells you to come with 20,400 and something Canadian dollars. So it's fixed, right? So there's no calculation. Just do the equivalent in Nigerian naira, then you know the amount you should have.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So I don't know if that answers your question, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you.
The duration for application. Sorry, please. What's the duration for this application for caregiver job, please? I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Thanks for your time. Thank you for giving us this extra day for this. I know our class was supposed to round up yesterday, but he has to just give us this day so that we can come and have this last session. Thank you so much for availing yourself. We are so grateful. Thanks for coming. Thanks to everyone that made it to today's class. Yes, the recordings for yesterday has already been posted to the group. So you can always, for some people that are asking question, I was not there or I didn't get that. Please, the only thing is to go back and watch the video, watch the lecture. You will get all the information. At times when you are in the class like this, you might not be able to get everything at once. The reason why we do the recording so that you can always have something to go back to and go through it. So please, let's do that and always learn to go back to study it and read, watch to give you an insight. It will help even the things you were not able to get properly, you'll get them. So it's early at that time you can now find out, okay, this is actually the question I need. Some of the questions we're asking are things that have already been discussed in the past lectures. So please, let's do that a lot. And then for those that are talking about the routes to jobs and all those ones. So I think we are going to be having a class on this either 17th or 28th of this month, where we are going to be taking the advanced. Then we promised in that class, one of the things that's going to be made available for everyone that will be part of it is going to be we are going to talk about the short courses, talk about the caregiver routes and all those ones, then make links available. Then we're also going to teach people step-by-step guide on how you are going to start your visa application. So when you reach the documentation process that you might not be able to do, then you can now reach out to us. But in every other aspect, we are going to teach you step by step on how to go about it. So that's one of the things we are going to be looking at. And then we have some other things that will be coming
Madam,
up.
thank you.
So
But
please, let's just avail ourselves. Yes, sir. You said something?
are we
Somebody
going
was
to get
talking.
it
I
so
didn't
that we
get
can
that.
revisit it?
You said?
Yeah, I was saying today's recording, are we going to get it for revisiting?
This particular class?
Yes.
Yes, please.
I'm going to send that. Once I'm done with it, I will forward it to the group where you had your
All right,
lecture.
thank you.
Hello, good evening, ma.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma. Please,
Yeah,
this
yes, good evening.
work route, it wasn't really
Yeah.
talked about. I think I'm interested in that route.
So that's just like I said, we are going to take another class for it, and that is going to be down on the 17th or 20th. So the link will be posted in your class where you join this particular one, so that you will get that. And then
be paid for.
Not discussed, but everything that has been discussed, just go back to the recorded sessions to get that. Hello.
Okay. Good evening, madam. Good evening, ma'am. Please.
Good evening.
Please, for those of us that have been interested in the white label software, can we drop our
Yes,
names
ma'am.
on the platform? Or how do we
Just reach out to your admin. Just reach out to your admin. Just chat to
okay,
your
the
admin. Tell them
facilitator.
you are in for the white label. Yes, your facilitator. Yes.
Okay, thank
You will be reach out to. Just chat your admin and inform them you need the white label.
you. Okay.
Thank
Madam
you.
Afonso,
So
when
that
you
is it.
send the recording of the last
Yeah.
3 weeks.
I just forwarded
please,
that to the class. That was yesterday. Let me check. Let me confirm that.
Please.
Let me be sure I dropped it there.
Please, I wanted
Okay, it's like I'm here to drop it. That was not the group. All right, I'm sending it there and you are going to get it also. That's yesterday's one. I've posted the one for Saturday. So this, the one for yesterday, I'm dropping it right away.
Okay, once again now,
I'm
I want
dropping that now. Okay, I just did that in our lecture group.
join.
Yes, sir.
Those who
Hello?
couldn't get access to the level, please, is there any package for us that we can enjoy that class and pay for?
I didn't get you.
What I mean is, What I mean is the caregiver level 3. Some of us couldn't meet the deadline of the payment, so we couldn't enjoy that class. And I want to know if we get any access again so that we will be attended to.
Okay. I don't know which of the class you missed. If it's the WhatsApp class,
Yes, the WhatsApp class
was it the
for a
introductory class
caregiver
on
level
WhatsApp?
3. No, it wasn't the
Okay, a
introductory.
caregiver level 3. All right, all right. Okay, so I think you will reach out to
Yes,
your
yes.
admin on that. Please just reach out to your admin on that.
Okay.
Probably the person will be able to help you out on that. I understand.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Hello,
Okay,
ma.
I think we
Hello,
are done. So I have dropped the link
sorry.
again in the class.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask, the caregiver level 3, can one use
Hello, I
it
can
to
hear you.
apply for caregiver level 3? Can one use it to apply for the Canadian caregiver job?
Yes, because that caregiver level 3 comes with transcripts, and that's one of the things they always check. They want to know which of the courses you have done. You understand? So that transcript is one of the things they look at. Yes, you've obtained a certificate, but let's see details of what you did in the level 3. So the thing is, yes, you can use it to apply for a job in Canada.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, son. All right, Mr. Isaac, I don't know, I see your hand up. Let's take you. Is it your question, or you have something to say, so that we can close this session,
Sorry,
then I'll open up
so
till on
sorry,
the
Madam Dorcas.
20th of this month for the this
What do you
session.
say,
This
Madam
and
Dorcas?
it's really going to be a great one. Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. So sorry, I was fully engaged today, and the network, at least debarred me to join you on time. I was a little bit behind the schedule. I would have loved to ask questions, but I wouldn't like us to. So I will talk to you. I will try to help.
It's all right. No problem then.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. So, all right. So I will urge everyone to be part of the next class coming up, because it's really going to expose you and open up even you that want to travel, and those that are interested in taking travel agents and ticketing agents and all this as a business. So please, I will encourage you to be part of the next class coming up. It has a lot of
When will that
benefits
be?
on all the links,
When will
and the
that be?
links for the route, the links for jobs, and all those will be shared. It's on the 20th, but
Sorry to disturb you.
on
Please, when
20th
will the
of
class
this
be coming
month.
up? You said on the 20th, and will it be a paid for class, or those that participated in
Yes.
this?
And you know that, yes, we pay. And the reason why we do that, because whatever we offer now looks more, you can't actually quantify what you have paid with what you've gotten. But why we do that is that when you call people, okay, come, let me teach you this for free, they don't really value what is free. So this is just a token that you will drop in order to draw you to remain in the class. Being that I've dropped my 15,000 naira. In Nigeria, 15,000 naira is heavy for us now. So when you put that, you will sit down and want to, let me get value for this money that I brought out. Yes, and that has been the idea. But I believe we dish what you pay for.
Okay, ma. And
I don't
please,
know
I
if
still
I'm
have
just
one other
hyping.
question. Please, concerning the caregiver route, I actually heard we would have to get an application, job application from there, and can there be assistance from you about concerning that, ma?
Yes. Yeah, just chat me up on that. Chat me up or chat your admin to get to me.
I really don't know. I really don't know how to chat. Okay, are you Mrs.
On
Fumi?
WhatsApp. You said just inform your admin that you want to reach out to Madam Kuzanko or Dorcas.
Okay, ma.
Hello, ma. Hello, please. How do I send those questions to Mr. Wells? How do I send the questions that I should send to him to Mr. Wells?
Do I send them to you so you
Drop
can
the
forward to him?
questions. Yes. Just send them to me.
I should
All
send them
right.
to
So
your
thank you
WhatsApp,
very
right?
much,
Your
everyone.
number and WhatsApp, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.